list. If you want to
I will
promote
bring
her.
her over.
John Weaver's there too.
Okay.
How do you guys find all this stuff?
Under participants.
We open our eyes.
Where's that? I don't have any of these things.
Hey, you probably have an old Apple, that's why.
No, I got an old Dell, but I got to take a class.
Maria's over.
I see her.
Hello. Sorry about that. I couldn't enter. I don't know how else I was supposed to enter.
You're good. One more quick second.
Hey, Stephen, are you showing the agenda?
I am showing the agenda.
Okay, just want to make sure it's somebody.
Yep. So I'm going to start. If I get feedback, I'm going to have to stop. And get that. So we are recording the meeting.
So we have a quorum. I'll call the June 1st, 2020 Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call. Mark Kay,
Here.
Tom Smith,
Here.
Maria Kane,
Here,
John Weaver,
Here.
Operations Manager Stephen East,
Here.
Council J. Michael Sheridan,
Here.
Engineer Mr. David Porter.
Here.
Thank you all. Anybody like to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the
Well, we don't.
flag
flag,
of the United States of
of
America,
America, to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
stands,
nation
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty and
Liberty
justice.
and justice for all.
Thank you.
That's great.
Agenda. Everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody's had a chance to take a look at the minutes from the May 4th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. There are no announcements. Stephen, are there any public comments?
Let me give instructions real quick on that. Tonight, we're accepting public comment in 4 different ways. One is if you had turned something in to the town or at the township in the drop box that's out at front. I just got back from checking that. There was no public comment there. We do also accept public comment at newtowntownship.org. And there are two in there, I believe, right now, and I will read those in just a minute. The third way we accept public comment is you can virtually raise your hand and I will recognize you and we'll let you speak. And then fourthly, if you've called in, if you let us know your phone number that you called in by, we will unmute you and you can speak that way as well. So, and you can do that by sending us a comment at public comment, all one word, at newtowntownship.org. Mr. Chairman, there were 2 emails that we received earlier. I believe they were sent out to the board. Is that correct?
That's correct. They regard the Earl Lake and the potential breach, I guess, of the dam at Earl Lake. I read those comments this morning. I did speak with council. I've instructed council to take a look at the easements before we do anything to determine what exists out there. So council is going to review the easements, and then we can address what role we play as it relates to these comments. Okay.
Okay. So if you all have read those, I will just attach those to the agenda or to the minutes, and we'll have had the public comment that had been submitted that way via just being attached to the minute.
That's fine. Is there any other public comment at this time?
Does any, yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm looking, if you wish to raise your hand, now would be the time to do so for public comment. And Mr. Chairman, I see no, oh, I do have somebody that's raised their hand.
Okay.
Mr. Hensley, I have let it set, so you should be able to talk. Mr. Hensley, if you would give your name and your address for the record, please.
I don't hear him.
I don't hear him. Mr. Hensley, if you're speaking, we don't hear you. Would you please make sure your mic is turned on?
And unmuted.
Yeah, and unmuted. It's showing that it's unmuted.
I know.
Yeah, he just unmuted it. We can't hear it.
Okay, well,
Oh, he doesn't have his mic on, that's why.
okay.
If, Mr. Hensley, if you would want to send.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, there
There we
you
go.
go.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. You can hear me now?
Yeah,
Clearly.
My name's Harvey Hensley. I live directly adjacent to Earls Lake, downstream of the outlet system, across from Green Country Village. So we're obviously very concerned about the
What,
situation.
excuse me, what is your address?
660 Earls Lane.
660 Earls?
Yes,
Is that Radnor Township or Newtown Township?
that is Radnor Township.
Okay,
Yeah, I saw that email.
I mean, I addressed, we got these letters.
Mhm.
They came this morning. I've instructed our council to take a look at the easement that the authority has for purposes of the line that goes across the dam. There really isn't anything else we can talk about or comment on until we understand what the easement looks like and what the responsibilities are of the easement.
Okay. Go ahead, you say so.
Uh,
This is
we
my
are-
wife Nadine Hensley.
Hi, this is Nadine Hensley. Harvey is my husband, and we live at 660 Earls Lane in Radnor Township. What came to us recently was a possibility of using Earls Lake as a stormwater management system.
First of all,
And
ma'am, listen, this is the sewer authority. Our responsibility is solely for sewer. Stormwater management is a township issue, not a sewer authority issue.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
only
we
issue
are
we
under
deal
the
with-
impression that could you please make a comment to the township that is in charge of the stormwater management, that we would be very interested in working with the Newtown Township in order to develop a plan to protect the watershed. And
That's fine. I would suggest you send an email to the township manager. You go on the website, the township manager's web information is there. Send the township manager an email and they will contact you either by phone or by email or both to discuss how you want to approach this with regard to the Board of Supervisors.
thank you very much. We were
Okay.
not aware that it was only a sewer issue.
That's okay. That's fine. That's why I wanted to get out in front of it so that
Right.
we can address it quickly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments? Stephen, any more comments?
I do not see any more.
Okay. All right, let's move on. We have no fund transfers. Treasurer's report. Everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at the treasurer's report. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Send me another,
Second,
what I have to spend.
All in favor?
I thank,
Aye.
I love you.
Two more. Mark
Aye.
loves somebody.
Mike loves somebody. Yeah, Mark loves somebody. Aye.
And Maria and myself. Thank you.
Yep.
Payments. I will read through these. Payment, 11-1, motion, consider ratifying the reoccurring bills paid on check register dated May 14, 2020, totaling $1,093.07. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 11.2, I make a motion, consider approving the bills on check register A dated June 1, 2020, totaling $26,589.43. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 11.3, make a motion, we approve a payment from the bonds totaling $244 to Michael Sheridan for professional services associated with the 537 public sewer project build out. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 11.4. Motion to approve a payment from the bonds totaling $16,466.87 to Herbert MacCombie Engineering for Part 2 permit work, Act 537 Public Sewer Project relative to the Camelot Service Area construction. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 11.5, I make a motion that we approve a payment from the bonds totaling $218.12 to Herbert MacCombie Engineering for Part 2 permit work, Act 537 Public Sewer Project relative to the Springton Point Service Area construction. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
11.6, consider, make a motion approving a payment from the bonds totaling $29,948.74 to Herbert MacCombie Engineering for Part 2 permit work, Act 537 Public Sewer Project relative to the Ashford Service Area construction. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
11.7, I make a motion approving the release number 9 to J.O. Bradley for the general contract work associated with the Camelot Service Area of the public sewer project totaling $1,452,930, leaving a balance of $4,461,651.20. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on this motion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
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 11.8, I make a motion, we approve release number 11 for J.O. Bradley, general contract work associated with the Ashford Service Area of the public sewer project totaling $674,569.80, leaving a balance of $1,581,309.90. Do I have a second?
Second. The motion.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 11.9, I make a motion that we approve release number 2 for Ford Brothers Electrical Company, Inc. for the electrical work associated with the Camelot Service Area totaling $118,620, leaving a balance of $443,200. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Engineers report, Mr. Porter.
Okay, thank you. On the public sewer extension project, the majority of the work over the last month has been specifically pump station related. In fact, the 2 releases for JO were all pump station related, with the exception of the Ashford Service Area. We did release 2.5% of their retainage. they're entitled to that request once they reach 75% of the contract value. So we were able to do that as well. The Ford Brothers electrical release represented what the base amount was for electrical work for the Camelot Service Area. They have submitted for a change order for that pump station, and it's related to, it goes back to 2018 where when we split the contract out to have an electrical prime and a general prime, there was a discrepancy between the electrical plans and our site development plans. So the electrical plans, when we had the electrical engineers start preparing their bid package, their plans and specs, one of our plans showed the wrong horsepower on the old Masters pump station. Now through the bid process, our plans all showed 100 horsepower, which it's what it's supposed to be. But we had to have the electrical engineer revise the plans prior to Ford Brothers getting started. So they had to make some adjustments to wiring and transformers and things in the old Masters pump station. They also commented that there was a discrepancy between the Pico power feed at the Camelot station, which I'm still looking into. I'm not sure where that stemmed from and what the result of that was yet, but it looks like the old Masters portion of it, and they don't have it broken out. So it was about $15,000 for that change order. So once I figure out what the portion of the Camelot lane is and what the portion of the old Masters is, I'll relay that to the authority. So the authority will be in a better position to be able to weigh in on and take action on that change order. That said, the rest of the sewer project, we've met with several property owners for questions about restoration, in particular with regard to minimal topsoil, quality of topsoil, the amount of vegetation that's been restored within the easements. We had continuously asked for what seed mixture they're using so we could check it with the plans and specifications. We finally received that information. It does not meet what our specifications are. It does not meet what PennDOT is. So our plans and specifications and contract documents refer to PennDOT 408, publication 408, which requires a certain mixture, certain seed types of grass seed to be provided. So it did not meet that. So I've drafted a memorandum to the file and provided a draft of that to Mike to look over before we send that off to the contractor. The idea is to give them a finite period of time to finally address the easement restoration for the lawns. And if they don't meet that time period, to enforce the obligation to provide sod, which is included in the contract document. So we have that ability. So I'll be working through that with Mike Sheridan over the next few days and hopefully get something out to the contractor. With regard to, if you recall at the last meeting, there was a tree that was leaning over one of the properties. We had contacted a tree removal company to take the tree down. They did that, but they left the stump in place. So they're bringing another piece of equipment in to grind the stump down to have it completely flush with the ground. That charges another $600. So the authority would obviously have to authorize that payment as part of the landscape restoration on the contract. Over the last couple of weeks, I've met with the Springton Woods arborist and Marquet to identify where replacement trees had to go adjacent to the sewer easement, where we've replaced one of the sewer mains as part of our project. I have to follow up with Earth Care Inc., who is the landscaping company that will be doing the plantings. I did send an email out to them to let them know we are marked out and asked them to schedule the work. So that was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago at this point. So hopefully I'll hear from them soon. Like I said, I will follow up with them to see if I can get an answer on definitively when they're going to get in there. I also met with the folks at Hunter's Run to discuss the scope of their requested landscape plantings and replacement plantings. They did scale down their scope quite a bit and provided a list of plantings that they're requesting. I also gave them, put them in touch with another landscaping company that they can get a separate private quote for comparison purposes. The idea being that if we're underneath the bidding threshold, we can get 3 written quotes and be able to have them get the stuff installed at a lower cost to the authority. Westchester Pike paving, you may have noticed that there's been crews out on Westchester Pike finalizing that work between Boot Road and Astartes Landscaping. Through coordination with PennDOT, they've asked us to increase the base thickness in asphalt, so there is going to be some additional cost beyond what's in the contract in that regard. And the difference so happens to be that now the gentleman looking at the job is the district permit manager and not the county inspector that issued the initial permit. So we got kind of an unfortunate set of circumstances where we had a different set of eyes at PennDOT looking at it. So despite what we had in the permit, he's requiring additional paving in Westchester Pike.
I gotta ask you a question while you're there, Dave. I'm not
Yes.
an engineer, but
Sure.
if that stretch of highway is going to have more surface, is the road going to be level?
Yes, so what they're having us do, underneath the asphalt paving, there's 10 inches of concrete from the old Westchester Pike pavement. So what they're having us do is extend the asphalt down to 2 inches below the concrete paving, match the top of the concrete, and then from the concrete up is whatever we already had in the contract. So I think there was like a 1/2 inch discrepancy above that, but the real pavement thickness is going down below the concrete. And the idea is they want that thicker bituminous base material to match, to equal what the concrete stability is going to give in the state highway. Even though the work was primarily in the shoulder of the road. So like I said, it's PennDOT, and
David, they gave us a permit,
correct.
as we're required to do, get a permit from them.
Yes.
They approved something different than they're demanding now. That's in the permit. The bid was based in the finance, and the financial range is based on, obviously, the permit. That's what we're obligated to do according to PennDOT. Now some new guy shows up and says, I want to change it.
Yeah.
So
He's
tell
not
him,
a new guy. He's the guy.
and he's a new guy. And did you ever talk to him? I mean, new guy in the sense he was not involved in this
Yes.
when we got the actual permit.
Right.
That they require us to get. And so did you say to him, we're not going to do it? We're not going to expend that money. You can pay us the money. We'll do it. But we're not, I mean, you can smile, but a permit's a permit.
Right. Yeah.
So we can go ahead with what the permit says to do.
Does the permit specify what we need to do to the letter?
The permit includes our HOP plans, which the detail showed a 9.5 inch thickness as opposed to a 12 inch thickness for that portion.
So what's his justification for increasing? Is it just a subjective?
It should not have been approved as such.
Well, a lot of things should have been approved. I get, but we have it. What's the price difference?
I don't know yet. I've gotten some information back from the contractor, but I haven't put pencil to paper to look at.
I mean, I agree with council. We have an agreement. We provide them the information. They gave us a permit. We're following the permit. We're going to do what the permit says. Once you get the cost, I go back to them in writing and say, here's what we're doing. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's the difference. We're not the budget because we put a budget together based on what the permit is that you gave us.
Okay. Problem is, I believe they're out there working. So.
Well, but do what we're supposed to do. We don't have to. I mean, how can they be working if we don't even know what the costs are?
I will get in touch with them.
I mean, I'll ask that question. I mean, we don't know what the extra charge is, but they're out there working. I saw them out there today.
Mm-hmm.
Were they just going to do the work and charge us and then just expect us to pay it at some point in the future? I guess so.
I guess so.
Yeah, well, I notified that either they stop and we go back to what we originally had in the contract, or get us a dollar amount of what the change order is.
Okay.
Who authorized the change order?
Nobody. It was either based on what PennDOT's feedback was, you either provide the additional pavement or we don't allow you to move forward.
Don't move forward.
You got a permit.
You got a permit. You can't stop us. What good's the permit? They can change it at any time in an arbitrary way. What good's the permit for? We paid for it. We followed all the rules. So, have that discussion.
Okay.
Okay. Keep going.
That concludes the report on the sewer project.
How do we stand on getting the testing for the Crum Creek Goshen Road pump station?
Right now, as of the end of last week, the contractor was telling me they wanted to start up test this week. I haven't gotten anything definitive. We still do not have power at Newtown Hunt. We do have power at Goshen.
Right.
And we don't have power at Springton Estates, which has been the issue with Pico. In talking with Kevin Ford at Ford Brothers on the Camelot project, he's trying to schedule things because our electrical engineer required them to certify things with Pico. He's trying to get in touch with Pico, and they're so understaffed right now that nobody can get an answer. It's been a month and a half since Pico has told us we're not going to schedule anything until after May 8th. And I continuously reach out and ask for a definitive date after May 8th that we can get an outage scheduled at Newtown Hunt. And he's not responsive. Lenai Electric is reaching out to him. I'm reaching out to him, and they're just not responding. So I know in the past, Steve Neese had reached out to the township liaison to see if he might be able to help move things forward. But because of the nature of the outage and the time frame on that outage, they need about 12 hours to swap out wires and transformers on the Pico side of things. And because of the pandemic, they didn't want to schedule the outage during the weekday. They wanted to do it on the weekend. So he was running it up the flagpole. He, being Mike Messina at Pico, was running it up the flagpole with his superiors to see if he might be able to, one, get it scheduled on a weekend, or two, has the ability to do it during the week. So obviously, if they're only able to do it on the weekend, that's going to be an extra to the authority, which we don't want to have to incur because the Lenai did the job without having overtime. So we're still trying to sort through that stuff.
We're ready to go. I mean, we're ready to go on the pump station at Crum Creek / Goshen Road.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Okay. And how long does that test take before we're operational?
It's a matter of running through all of the mechanicals. So we're going to test the pumps and motors, the backup pumps. So we're looking at maybe a half a day's worth of time with having everybody out.
Okay. I just wanted to know. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Anybody else have any questions about the new sewer project? No? Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay. With regard to Melmark School, I touched base with their development manager and their supposed new engineer. So they are no longer moving forward with Evans Mill, who designed their pump stations. Fred Ebert at Ebert Engineers is going to be handling that. We did issue comments, as I mentioned, at the last authority meeting. I'm presuming Fred Ebert will be addressing those comments moving forward. And I did explain to Jim Calvarese over at Melmark School that once you have your approvals to go forward with your pump station, the only thing you're going to need to do is pay your tapping fees because you'll have your approved plans and then enter into an agreement with the authority with regard to those tapping fee payments. They have provided flow data for the campus. We had planned on about 25,000 gallons per day in Act 537 planning. they are using right now about 16,000 gallons per day. So there may be some residual flow that the authority can pick up and reallocate to other projects. So it's really up to the authority as to the extent of the tapping fees that need to be charged to the Melmark School. So I would think it'd be appropriate to base it on their actual flow usage.
Okay.
So we also did complete it's in draft form, but we should be issuing that in the next couple of days, our review of their classroom expansion and how that applies to the public sewer option. So there's really only like a handful of comments on that should be going out in the next couple of days. With regard to BPG Ellis Preserve Phase 2, which is the shops at Ellis, we issued review number 2 of the sanitary sewer within their land development. After completing that review letter, I received a call from Herbert Engineers, their sewage facilities planner that I worked with when they prepared their sewage facilities exemption for the commercial component of Phase 2, has told me that there's no longer a market for the commercial because of the pandemic. So they intend to pull the exemption request from the DEP that was submitted and then move forward with a new exemption request based on the residential component. So it's just a matter of redocumenting all the flow, going through a capacity certification, re-sign offs, and resubmitting it to the DEP. So I'm not sure what their schedule is with that regard. I'm presuming they're going to want to get moving fairly quickly on that.
You'll be getting something in the next 48 hours.
Okay. All right. The only other thing, I don't know if it's going to affect any of the township approvals that are out, but we will copy Stantec on any of our review letters in that regard.
Okay.
A public sewer connection permit application for the former McDonald's. We issued comments on that with regard to them decommissioning the existing sewer laterals. They're putting a new lateral in, and one for their primary service and one also for a future grease trap. Right now, they're not sure of what the tenant is going to be at that place. If it is a restaurant, they are planning for the ability to implement an external grease trap, which will be in compliance with the township's fog ordinance. So that plan came in, revised plan addressing my comments came in last week. And that's on my list of things to do to issue an approval for them to go ahead and make their connection. Delaware County Christian School, I worked with Mike Sheridan of the last week to pull together an agreement for sanitary sewer improvements and financial security, as well as an easement agreement. Mike had drafted everything. I reviewed and had a few comments and got those back to Mike, and Mike forwarded those on to the authorities for the authorities' review and for their benefit. They're asking to have a pre-construction meeting for the sanitary sewer improvements this week. So provided that the agreement can get executed and everything moves forward accordingly, we'll be able to schedule that pre-construction meeting with them this week sometime. And then lastly, the Earls Lake Dam, which we had just touched on. I received an email from Steve Neese with a set of plans with regard to breaching of the dam at Earls Lake, and it looks like there is a public sanitary sewer line that cuts through the lower portion of the dam breast. It looks like when they breach the dam, they're going to channelize the stream across the existing sanitary sewer main. I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking at the plans yet. I wasn't sure what budget we have to review and where to build the time to, but I did want to take a glance at them prior to tonight's meeting so I can fill the authority in. Just offhand, it looks like they're proposing concrete encasement of the existing sanitary sewer main underneath of wherever the channelized section of that stream is going to be, which is required by DEP, although it does not indicate on the plans that I saw yet whether they maintain adequate separation, vertical separation between the bottom of the stream and the concrete encasement. So there may be other things that come into play such that, we may want to determine what the existing conditions of those mains are before we get in and start monkeying around with the ground cover, the adjacent ground, and doing
David,
concrete.
David, who is the they?
I was gonna ask the same question. Who's they?
It looks like from the set of plans, it's Green Country Village, Delaware County, Newtown Square, PA, 2019. The title of the plan is Earls Lake Dam Removal Project, and it has a DEP ID number on it. So I'm presuming they're seeking some kind of environmental permit to be able to do this. Although there was no other DEP correspondence or applications or permits that came along with the set of plans. And the person that prepared the plans is Eric J. Ditchy, PE, out of Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
Who is that again? Could you just email that contact information, David?
Yes.
What's the date of the plan? What's the date of the plan?
The date of the plan, January 2019, revised and resubmitted. November 11th, 2019 is the last revision date. There's 3 revision dates on it.
Well, the day should be posting a escrow. Do you agree, Mike?
Certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the status? Is somebody just preparing these plans? Are they presenting them to DEP? I mean.
Yeah, that I don't know.
And I realize this just got presented to us this morning. So, you know, we're playing catch up here, but we got to work on that.
I mean, is there a risk that this dam breaks? Is that what the issue was up there? I mean, is this dam in a position of failure that the next major rainstorm is going to create I don't know. I'm asking. Does anybody know? Steve, do you know?
What I do know is that it's been on DEP's list of either fix or replace, or either replace or breach for probably about, I don't know, I think at least 8 years. I think it's been about 3 or 4 before I came. Could be as much as almost now 15 years. I don't know when they got their notice. I know when the township got our notices on our dams. I know that it's gone back and forth. I know that Green Country has been working on it. When I got this several weeks ago and I sent it to Dave, was the first time I'd seen anything on it in a long time.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, we'll take a look at the easement to see what our obligations are based on the easement, but we should notify that they've got to post a escrow so we can do the engineering work and the legal work to make sure that it's being done properly. And you're right, Dave, we should check the line to make sure that the line is in good condition. If it needs to be, if it needs to be replaced and we're going to open it, might as well do it now.
Right.
So I would get KBX to get us a price on what it's going to cost to go out and look at the line and assess the line.
Do you want to have KBX do it, Joe, or would you suggest that we put something in our review letter to put the onus on them to have that done and provide it to the authority? That way it would be at no cost to the authority. Up to the authority. I mean, it's whatever you want to do. I mean, I know KBX does a good job with doing their televising and documenting. So
get a price from KBX. We don't have to decide tonight, but get a price. Let's know what it is. At least we know what it is. I would also tell them, though, when you respond back about the escrow, that we would recommend they get an evaluation of the line, and they may come back and say, you do it, we'll figure it out. But at least we know we get a number that we know what we're dealing with.
Okay.
All right. My concern is if we get rain like we did last year, where we have a serious storm water problem at this end of the township, bless you, Stephen. We have a pretty severe storm water management at this end of the township between the stream behind my house and the Earls, that if the line, if it should breach, we could have we could end up with a line up there that's got some problems. So, we just want to be aware of it. Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, if I can just ask a question. And Dave, do you have a timeline on when they want to move forward with this project? I mean, obviously, as everybody on this board knows, this is something that's outside of the township's control because it's owned by owned by Green Country Condominium. But I'm just curious, do you have a timeline? Because I have not seen anything on that. So I'm just curious if you know No
No,
plan to be moving forward on anything.
no, again, I haven't reached out to anybody. The extent that I know of the project is just the email that Steve Neese forwarded the plans and said, hey, can you take a look at them? I didn't want to get too into the plans without knowing where I'm billing the time and who's responsible for it and what the nature of the project is. So, yeah, unfortunately, I have very little detail on what the scope of the work is.
Thank you.
Okay. Old business. Do we have any old business? Okay. Operations managers report.
I will just say that I know that we are continuing to look at the situation of the overflow that happened. I know that Andy and Dave have been working on that. I believe Andy said that he was reaching back out to Dave this week again to follow up on the next steps.
Yes.
So that's continuing to be looked at and making sure that we don't have that situation happen again.
This is the overflow down off of 252.
That's correct.
Got you. Where Fresca is.
Yes.
Okay.
The other thing that we've been working on and we'll discuss a number under 15.5 is related to the letter on the new connections. So if I'll just defer that until then. And that's the main things on our report at this time.
Okay. Any questions for operations? If not, new business. 15.1, consider approving the sewer and finance security agreement for Delaware County Christian School. I make a motion that we approve the sewer and financial security agreement for the Delaware County Christian School. Do I have a second? Mark, you're muted.
I'll second it, but I do have a question.
Okay, we do have a second. All right, questions, go ahead.
Mike, I did review it and I just wanted to make sure that that security amount was appropriate. It just seemed like a large project and that amount didn't seem to coincide with the percentage that was in there. I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah, Marie, the original amount was prepared by the contractor for the school. That was presented to MacCombie. MacCombie reviewed it. They made a number of changes, increasing the anticipated cost, and that was where the final number came from the combined work of the school and then MacCombie, and the school saying they'd go along with it. And in fact, they've actually posted it in cash, being held in escrow by the authority at this point.
So the amount in that agreement was accurate? Because it was only like 20 something thousand. I just thought it seemed kind of low.
It was about 26,000.
26,000, yes.
Yeah, and so the authority is aware what they're doing, and this is just related to the sanitary sewer replacement portion. They're putting in 2 what they call doghouse manholes and 1 new manhole, and it's only a couple 100 feet of pipe. So it's really not, as far as the sanitary sewer improvements are concerned, it's really not a large scope compared to the rest of the project.
But Maria, so this is clear to you, because it wasn't to me in the beginning about this project. This is an existing line owned by the authority. It's not like because it's on the grounds of the school, it's not one of their lines servicing just solely the school. So we will be taking dedication of that. They will be posting the 18-month bond. But that's why, because they're replacing a line, a main that's the authorities right now with another one.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. 15.2. Make a motion that we approve the easement agreement for Delaware County Christian School. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, thank you. 15.3. Discuss about the sewer bill relief request from 20 Walnut. I don't have any other notes other than that. What is the request, and do we know what the request is for and why?
We do. Rich, are you going to speak to this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
In 2016, Mr. Dionusio came to the board and asked if he installed a second meter on his well for usage, if the board would honor his discount. In the third quarter of 2019, Mr. Dionusio handed over his first second meter readings, and he's asking for relief on his bill.
Well,
His
It's past bill.
Rich, explain that a little better, because that's a very broad statement, but explain that he wants to go back.
So Mr. D'Annunzio has not paid a bill since 2016 when he came to the board and asked. So he has a back bill of $4,031.87.
Does that include penalties and interest, Rich?
Yes, it does. And I actually have two figures. But I'm not sure if the board wanted us to forgive everything since he actually stopped paying his bill in 2016.
Let me understand this. He came to us in 2016 because he said his bill, the flat rate we were charging Wellwood, or he thought was too high based on his perceived usage.
That is correct.
We told him to go get a second meter to put on so that we could monitor what his actual usage was, and that we would adjust the bill accordingly. If it was excessive, we would make an adjustment. And that was back in 2016.
Correct.
He did nothing in 17, 18 until 2019. He then gets a meter and comes in now and says, hey, here's the reading. And then what? What is he asking for? How much does he owe us? And based on his meter readings, if you calculated it backwards, how much does he owe us?
If you calculate it backwards, taking his payments in, because he did make 2 payments in 2016, without penalty, it would be $747.21, or with penalty, it would be $865.99.
Okay. So we make an adjustment from $4,000 down to $864.99. What is he asking for?
Relief from $4,031.87 down to $865.99.
Okay, and that's what we told him we would do. It just took him 3 years to do it.
Correct.
I think that the authority had said at the time that if he put it in, that they would start using it and they would look then at making the adjustment. The thing that's in question is you take 1 quarter's reading and you're applying that over a 3-year, 4-year period. And that's the reason why we have a question.
So we only have 1 quarter of 2019.
No, Steve, it has actually been 2 quarters.
2 quarters, I'm sorry.
Right, so, but
Joe, I don't remember us saying that we would make, I didn't think we committed to anything other than.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just trying to get a feel for what have we done in the past, Mike, when we get these on lots and they come in with a meter and the numbers are skewed tremendously. We know that. What have we done in the past?
I don't know. We've had it before.
Have we, Stephen? Have we had any situation in the past?
Rich, I don't remember any since we've been here.
Trying to figure out.
In the past 5 years, I cannot remember one this large.
No, not forget the size. Just in the past, when we've had someone who says, hey, I got the meter and my actual numbers much lower than your flat charge. What have we done to accommodate those residents? That's my question.
I would have to check. I cannot remember one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't recall one.
I would do this. I would go back to them and say, number one, we want at least 2 more quarters. Since it's from 2016 on, we need to get 4 quarters of readings to look at all 4 times of the year to see if there's any variation. While we're waiting for that, let's find out what we've done in the past so we're consistent with what we've done with other residents. You agree with that, Mike?
Depends. He's on a different billing system right now. I mean, we have a billing for a flat rate, and then we have a billing for meters
Right.
on those. And you have to think about the consequences if you say, okay, we're going to go back and we know we're looking at what the rate is for the gallonages for the flat rate. And now all of a sudden the meter guy comes in and says, well, I want to take you back 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait a minute. You start down a slippery slope when you do that.
Okay, I agree.
He could have put it in 2016.
And he
could have
chose
put it
not
in
to for whatever reason.
2014.
Right. I know. We had that conversation back in 16, and for whatever reason, it took him 3 years to put a meter in. I mean, I still think we should get 4 quarters of readings, just so we're consistent there, and then we can react accordingly once we get that.
I think we ought to tell him too, he's got to make a payment. He hasn't made a payment since 2016. I don't know why you would want to give anything until somebody's making a payment. He's got a bill that he owes us.
2018.
Or he made a payment in 18?
Yes, he did.
I'm sorry.
Was it a complete full payment?
No, absolutely. No, it hasn't been paid off since 2016.
So he's been in arrears since 2016.
Yeah.
That's correct, yes.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, and then I think we gave him an opportunity in 2016 to start rectifying it, and he didn't take advantage of it till now, and wants us to go back and essentially just waive all 3 years worth or 3.5 years worth. I don't even know when in 2016 he came in. It could be 4 years worth. Almost.
Right, without knowing if there was a change in usage, a change in demand, without knowing anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many unknown facts.
Yeah, we were closer in time in 2016. It made sense at the time, I think, anyway, to do what we were doing then and deciding then, but waiting 3+ years to do it, I'm struggling with how to be fair about it.
Yep.
And when was readings? The readings were just recent, right?
It was the 4th quarter of 2019 and the 1st quarter of 2020.
Yeah, just recent.
So we have no idea what his usage was from the time he stopped paying until he started monitoring his usage.
Correct.
Right.
So how much, can I ask a question? Were all his payments paid up when he came in 2016 and asked us for some relief? Or was he in arrears and wanted some relief?
Wow.
And then decided not to, I'm sure it'd be difficult to find out. And then, said he was going to do this, and we gave him that as a good faith basis to move forward, and he didn't do anything until 2019.
I don't remember, Tom, the specifics. I do remember a number of residents coming in at that time saying that the base number was high, and we recommended that they go get a meter, and then we would take a look at, if you got a meter and you metered, and we were able to look at several quarters of real readings, we would discuss if an adjustment was appropriate.
Correct.
I can't answer the question as to was he in arrears then. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's okay. I just,
Rick, do you know?
No, I'm not confident in the answer. No, I'm not sure.
Were the 2 quarters similar amounts at least?
Yes, they were.
So we maybe should go halfway.
No, we're not going to do that. We're not. This isn't a negotiation. This is not, and we're negotiating against ourselves, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, let's get 4 quarters. So let's see what the pattern looks like: summer, fall, spring, winter. Let's get 4 quarters.
Okay.
Okay. In the interim, I would tell him that he should think about making some of those payments and getting as current as he can. We can always, when we decide, if we decide, we can always make an adjustment then.
Right. I mean, he owes something and he hasn't paid anything.
Right, he hasn't paid anything. He's gotten, free sewer for over 4 years.
Has he even made the payment since he's gotten the meter in, Rich?
No, he has not.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, the hell
he
with
really
it.
hasn't really done anything to help his case here.
Yep.
So
I
let's get 2 more quarters, and then I would tell him that, he's got to make some payments and get this thing closer to 2019 current.
Got it.
Okay. All right. Next on this list is 15-4. Consider approving $417.96 refund request, Marie Finelli at 111 Hunt Club for unusually high water usage due to watering sod. I got to tell you,
Is that from the, I'm just wondering, was she watering a lot because of the putting in the sewer and needed to put in
No.
sod?
we didn't put it
Okay.
through.
Not even in that area.
Not even in
Okay.
that area. I got
This is
We
a,
should try
it's a friendly request, right? I mean, what's the basis for the 417? Just it's out of line with what she was typically paying.
Yeah, that's correct. So, according to her water usage in the second quarter of 2019, she used 70,000 gallons. If you look on average, she's using about approximately 6,200 per quarter. She claims it's to watering sod.
Yeah, I got to tell you, if we go here, everybody with sod, everybody with a pool, no.
I agree, nothing.
I just planted sod out front.
Yeah, don't come in and ask.
Yeah, you should ask first.
Can we get separate lines for that stuff?
You can meter. You
Yeah,
can put
absolutely.
a meter. You can put a meter on your line that you would use to water your lawn or fill your pool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that documentation is available to say, hey, I used 76,000 gallons to water my lawn because I resodded my front lawn.
Yeah.
Then you can come in and say, and then that, that's a justifiable. You put the effort in, you put the meter in.
Yep.
Okay.
Get Dan to pony up for the meter.
What's that, John?
I told Maria to get her husband to pony up for the meter.
There you go.
Yeah, birthday present.
15-5. I've talked to council about this. He and I are gonna work on a letter to get out to the residents regarding the connection timing and the fees and when all that's gonna occur. Mike, are you still with us?
Yes.
Hopefully by the end of the week, you and I can have that letter drafted up and circulate it to the board. Is that achievable?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Then we'll get that circulated to the board, and then we can we'll get comments back. Steve will get it to you, and then we'll get comments back, engineering as well, and then we'll get it out to the residents, primarily in Echo Valley, because they're going to be the first ones that can connect to the system somewhere within the next probably 15 days, 15 to 30 days, I would say.
Yeah.
Dave, is that right? You still
That
with
is
us?
accurate, yep.
Okay. So we'll get that done. Okay.
So
Any other new business?
can I ask a question of our council on 15-4? Do we have to put a formal motion on? I don't think we did anything formally there.
We took no action. So, I mean, if you want to take I wasn't sure that we're denying it. I think folks had questions about the legitimacy of it. So you don't have to take a
No,
motion.
that's the sod, Mike. I'm talking about the sod. Sorry.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
15. Okay.
You want to make a motion? I mean, we can make a motion and vote it down. That's fine.
Yep.
We do that. Somebody want to make a motion to vote it down?
Well, how do we do that, Mike?
Why don't we just make a motion?
To consider it?
Request.
Rejecting the approval of
Request.
the $417.96 refund request
Tonight.
from Ms. Finelli.
Okay. Maria made a motion. Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Motion carried. And as I said, 15.5, we'll work on a letter. We'll get it out by the end of the week, get everyone's comments back, and then we'll get it out to the residents at Echo Valley first, and then we'll work our way through Florida Park and the corporate center in those two orders. Okay.
Right.
Real quick, Dave, I would think that that also picks up the Spring House, Woolman, and the, I guess, northern part of Boot.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That pump
Just want to
station.
make sure we're pulling the right things together.
Okay. Okay. All right. If no other business, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.